All right, then welcome back. Still Breakfast Central News Center with Olisa, Chkwuma and Tolulope Adeleru-Balogun. We just had a conversation now with the residents in Kagara there about the recent attack in that area, and we'll still stick with a conversation right here in terms of security in Nigeria, where it's really long and suffering, you have to say, from persistent ethnic, religious and political violence since independence from the British back in the 1960s. Now, it went through a civil war, as we know, back in 67 to 70, and the Maitani crisis back in the 80s, sporadic ethno-pastoral conflicts, particularly in the Middle Belt area, and militancy in the oil-rich, Niger Delta. Now, in the past decade, in particular, terrorists like Boko Haram and the activities have really claimed more than 30,000 lives, displacing more than 2 million people.
Now, conflicts between nomadic herdsmen and farmers has most recently exploded to other parts of the country, with an escalation in the spate of violent clashes resulting in several deaths, with entire villages being burnt and animals and farmlands being destroyed. Now, just last week, several lives were lost after a clash triggered by the fatal stabbing of a cobbler by a cart pusher in Shasha markets in Ibadan, Oyo State, and this later degenerated into an ethnic conflict. We've also, of course, heard from Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, who called for those involved in that situation to be brought to justice. And Nigeria was still attempting to deal with that when news broke yesterday that some students have been kidnapped at a government secondary school in Niger State just days later. So it seems that the country goes from one violent clash, one violent event to the next.
Another.
Now, to take the security conversation deeper, we're joined by security consultant Dr. Ona Ekhomu. He is the first chartered security professional in West Africa. He's also the president of the Association of Industrial Security and Safety Operatives of Nigeria, and he's the Africa representative of the International Foundation for Protection Officers. Dr. Ona, thank you so much for joining us on Breakfast Central. Welcome.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
So we have to start with the situation that has now developed in Niger State. It's unfortunately not new. We saw just in December the kidnapping of schoolboys as well in Kano State. But a lot of people are asking, why does it seem that terrorists are now targeting Nigerian schools, whether you call them terrorists, bandits, kidnappers, whatever? Why are they targeting schools?
Thank you very much, Mr. Lu. I think the answer lies in 2 words: soft targets. The terrorists or the insurgents, whatever you call them, they are interested in maximizing their value, whether it's a ransom value. They got paid very handsomely for the Kagara attack in December. Whether it's a notoriety value, publicity value, they get covered very well when there is attack on schools. And for example, in this past week, they've kidnapped over 100 persons in Niger State. Nobody said anything. It was just reported and forgotten. But when they attacked Kagara school yesterday morning, it made news. It even got on CNN and it got on your own network here. So what I'm saying is it gives them more mileage for their money in terms of notoriety. They get mentioned. There's the fear factor, and that, of course, is the denominator for all terrorist attacks, that fear that anyone could be a part or could have been targeted. So, but I think the biggest thing from a security standpoint is vulnerability. These schools are really so vulnerable. We don't pay attention to them. The probability of a school attack is axiomatic, but you have huge vulnerabilities that are enabling those school attacks. So that tells you that somebody is sleeping at the switch, whether it's the security officials, whether it's the school officials, whether it's the government officials. Somebody is definitely sleeping on the job, because we are in a country, I mean, the intro you just gave, you painted all kinds of threats around the country. And here we are still getting caught flat-footed in another mass kidnap of school children. And, it's really is a crime, really, what we're doing in this country.
All right, Doctor. Now, you just pointed out that, the reason why these schools are being attacked, especially in those parts of the country, is that they are soft targets and they're quite vulnerable, with other vulnerabilities that are leading to this. But we hear that the United States government has said they won't pay any ransom and will even explore every option. So what are they looking at here? What options, from a security expertise of yours, what options are we looking at if you're not paying ransom right now? Because this is going on for far too long. And if you're not paying ransom, what are the options are they going to be exploring right now?
Well, we have something that is called political hyperbole. The politicians will come out. The last time the government said they wouldn't pay ransom, and they didn't pay ransom, yet somebody was arrested for stealing some of the ransom. So, I mean, don't just forget about that. That is just political speak. They say that to act off, and then after they get on the phone to the kidnappers and say, how much do we need to pay? And they start negotiating. But having said that, there are options. I put out a press release last night on this issue, and I said they should adopt the Mahakama line strategy. Now, what is a Mahakama strategy? Back some years ago, about 3-4 years ago, 4 redeemed pastors were kidnapped in Ogun State here. And then Police Commissioner Bashir Mahakama, he brought all security assets he could muster, lined them up, and marched into the forest in what we call a hot pursuit. Those 4 people, they didn't pay ransom. In that case, they really didn't pay ransom. But so I said they should adopt this, because what happens is we are really so lead-footed. Something like this happens, instead of going in fresh pursuit immediately, we sit here and give press conferences. We receive federal government delegations, which have no bearing whatsoever on what is happening on ground. So what should happen right now is the CP, Commissioner of Police in Niger State, should line up all the hunters, all the vigilance personnel he can get, and march into the direction of flight of the insurgents or terrorists or kidnappers, bandits, whatever you want to call them. They have a lot of nom de guerre. So they should march in that direction and in hot pursuit, because normally we know that from the point of seizure of kidnapped victims, these guys, and you'll be able to find those victims. And they should march in that direction, 12 kilometers out. I can bet you some good money that they'll be able to find those boys. But because our people are fearful and lazy, they will say, they start negotiating. So there are options, there are security options that need to be adopted. But what I prefer is, in the first place, let these kids not be kidnapped. For example, why was it that there was no air raid siren in that school? I called for that after Kagara attack. I said in every school up there in that northwest zone, which is now very notorious for kidnapping, they should put air raid siren, so that when there's an attack of this nature, you activate the air raid siren. The cacophony will drive those bad guys away, and then also give alarm to the kids that something is amiss, and they can take a preventive measures. Why was it? I saw the doors, video footage of the doors in the school. They were shitty doors. Excuse my French language. They were shitty doors. Now, why didn't they have serious metal doors there?
All right.
I'm not saying buy bulletproof doors from Turkey or from Israel. You can just have the local metal door. So these are things, they are just simple preventive measures that could have been put in place and low cost. But it appears we want tragedy to occur so that we get on the news, and then we'll be discussing them like we are discussing now with Mr. Lu.
Thank you very much for your patience, sir. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Lu.
All right, so because time is not with us, we had gotten to the point in the conversation where we were asking about how Nigeria got to this point, even though I think it's very necessary sometimes to look back at what tripped you rather than where you fell, but we also need to talk about solutions. And we've seen in recent times President Muhammadu Buhari actually changing the service chiefs after a number of years of complaints and criticisms as to how they've been handling the security situation. So we have new service chiefs. We don't have any more police as it is. Nigeria's police are stretched. Nigeria's army is now involved more in internal security situations. People are talking about state policing, community policing, regional policing as it may be. But what is the solution? We know that the Niger State government has also called now for a state of emergency to be declared on Nigeria's security situation. Dr. Ona, what is the solution to all of this? Week in, week out, violence, clashes, deaths of Nigerian citizens.
Well, thank you very much. It's a complex problem. It's a messy problem. It's an ill-structured problem. So it doesn't lend itself to easy solution. It doesn't lend itself to take two aspirin and call me in the morning kind of solution. So it's something that, first of all, requires better understanding. Because we say in research design that if you don't understand that it is better, well, I don't know how to say, but let me put it this way. We don't want to solve the wrong problem, and that's what we keep doing. That's why we are not able to get to the root of insecurity in this country. Take even the old Boko Haram problem that's been with us for 12 years. You'll be surprised to hear that till today, most Nigerian elites, most Nigerian politicians, most Nigerian leaders still don't understand what is running it. We know what we are feeling. We know that they've killed, I think it was your colleague there that said they killed 30,000 people. Number is far more than that. Yeah. And we know that 2.something million have been displaced and all that, and they've laid much of the northeast bare and, destroyed. But having said that, that's not even the problem. Those are just the symptoms. Those are the effects that we are feeling. What is the cause of it? So, we have to look at what we call convergent phenomena. We have to look at the cause and effect factors here, the causal factors, if you may, and then the kinds of causations we have. So, but I think the only thing I can put just like you said, we are short on time. The only thing I can put my hand on right now is that we must address the problem of insecurity, and by taking the problem head on. We cannot excuse it. We cannot pray it away, like they often say we should do, that we should pray to God. We cannot ignore it. It is here. It must be tackled, and it must be tackled competently. And what do you need to tackle it competently? You need understanding. You need knowledge. You need intellection. You need people to sit down and look at it. First of all, we must continue our kinetic approach, and then certainly, let me just give you a simple one. Okay. If we just did soft target hardening, like just tell the people. I heard one of your guests saying they wrote a letter to them that they were coming and they came and this and that. People didn't know what to do. I mean, this is gravy train for the government officials. If we had, if the state government, now I'm tired of beating on the federal government all the time. Let's look at the state. Yes, the state government. Somebody was elected to govern the state. You have assembly members. You have local government officials. There are lots of people here with authority, with government authority, people who blow siren and disturb the peace of the public, who should have been working on this problem, who are not doing it, who are sleeping, and they are waiting to pay ransom. So it's really very unfortunate. So, but let me get back to the point I'm making. Let me not lament. We can give people information, simple information, and this is from today. We can start sending out information to citizens over the airwaves, by text message, whatever, that these are the protective actions to take, protective attitudes to adopt in the case of a kidnap or even an impending kidnap. Because there are so many strengths. For example, we can have force multipliers. Why is it that in the whole of Niger State, there's no command and control center where you can call when a citizen is in distress? Right now, Niger State, 4 local governments are under bandit control, including Rafi, where Kagara school abduction took place yesterday. So why is it that we are just waking up today to find out, they kidnap people? But Rafi has been under bandit control for so long. People cannot travel freely. I love Niger State. I've been traveling. I used to go to Mina all the time, to that CBN facility there to do many things. I traveled through a lot of Niger State, but I won't try that. I'm not mad. I'm not going to try traveling through Niger State now because In security, we call that risk avoidance. So, you know, anyhow, what I'm trying to say is that we should, just a simple solution, we should put out information out there on soft target hardening. What do people do? How do they report to the authorities? Okay, if there's no authority to report to in Mina, in Niger State, let's report to federal authorities in Abuja. For example, that threat letter that was received should have been escalated to the authorities. Now, another thing is impunity, even by government officials. Why is it that the police official in charge of Kagara, or even the military official overseeing Kagara, why is it that nobody is being fired this morning for that, for the security lapse that occurred yesterday? In other decent societies, that's what, in fact, you don't even need to be fired. You just quit. You say, sorry, you disappointed the citizens.
Unfortunately, Dr. Ona, that's not the culture we have imbibed in this country. But thank you so much for joining us on the program, Dr. Ona.
Thank you, sir.
We will definitely have you back, because we know this will not be the last time we'll be having a conversation about an insecurity challenge in the country. And again, due to technology, we're not able to have the full conversation we want. So we'll definitely be looking forward to having you back. Dr. Ona, thank you so much for joining us.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.